How a military coalition plans to neutralize a $500 billion fortress island in just 30 days without ever putting a single boot on the ground. This is the 30-day countdown to a total collapse. Week 1. The operation begins with a total digital blackout, cutting the nerves of the beast to leave it blind, isolated, and paralyzed. Week 2, the objective shifts to attrition. We unleash mass-produced swarms of expendable drones to bleed the island's elite defense grid dry. Week 3, surgical violence. Heavy hitters move in to decapitate the island's high-value targets, dropping deep penetration munitions directly into its nuclear heart. And finally, Week 4, the hunting game begins. With the skies cleared and contested water secured, we sweep the remaining ballistic threats until nothing is left to fire back. Make no mistake, this isn't a Hollywood movie script. This is the brutal, systematic blueprint of modern asymmetric warfare. This is how the first week went. Week 1 is about turning the lights off. Think of this fortress as a hyper-advanced brain, but a brain without eyes is just a lump of meat. The first strike isn't a bomb, it's a silent severance. Specialized naval assets and deep-sea submersibles target the undersea fiber optic cables, the literal nervous system connecting the island to the outside world. In seconds, gigabytes of strategic data are replaced by dead silence. But we don't stop there. Above the clouds, the electronic warfare campaign kicks into high gear. High-intensity jamming signals from specialized aircraft flood the airwaves, specifically targeting SATCOM links. We're talking about high-gain electronic interference that drowns out the delicate whispers of satellite signals. GPS coordinates begin to drift, encrypted command and control loops are severed, and the island's integrated air defense system and architecture that depends on a seamless web of external sensor. Data is suddenly forced to operate in total isolation. It becomes a black box. The fog of war isn't just a metaphor here, it's a manufactured reality. The commanders inside are no longer fighting a war. They're guessing. They can't see the horizon, they can't call for help, and they have no idea that the real nightmare is just starting to fly toward them. This brings us to week 2, and this is where the irony of modern warfare really bites. You don't take down a billion-dollar defense grid with a billion-dollar missile. You do it with plastic and lawnmower engines. We launch the swarms, thousands of mass-produced, expendable drones. These aren't high-altitude Reapers. These are low-cost, one-way kamikaze units. Individually, they're annoying. Together, they are an unstoppable cloud of digital ghosts. The island's radar picks up hundreds of incoming signatures. The automated systems do exactly what they were programmed to do. They fire. This is the moment of peak satisfaction for the attackers and total despair for the defenders. To stop a drone that cost about $500 to build, the island is forced to launch a surface-to-air interceptor that costs $2.1 million per shot. It's a mathematical execution. Every time the island's air defense scores a success by blowing up a cheap drone, they are actually losing the war. Imagine the commander in the bunker. He's watching his displays, he sees the win every time a drone is neutralized, but he's looking at his inventory counters in horror. He's trading gold for lead. We are bleeding their magazine dry. We are forcing them to use their most elite limited stock munitions on garbage. This is the ultimate insult in the history of military engineering. Using a system designed to stop a nuclear-capable stealth bomber to swat a swarm of glorified remote-controlled planes. By the time the sun sets on day 14, the island's defensive posture has been fundamentally hollowed out. The launchers are clicking empty. The fortress has plenty of concrete, but it's running out of teeth. The economic attrition is complete. Now that the perimeter is porous and the island is screaming into a silent sky, it's time to move from blinding and bleeding to surgical decapitation. The armor is gone now. We go for the heart. Week 3. The outer shell is gone. The fortress is no longer a threat. It's a patient on an operating table. This phase is about surgical violence, cutting away the infrastructure that allows the island to function. We start with the power grid, not by leveling every substation, but by using specialized electromagnetic pulse munitions. These EMP bursts don't kill people, but they shatter the delicate circuitry of the island's nuclear reactors and underground command centers. In a fraction of a second, the island's primary life support systems are fried. But the most critical assets, the enrichment facilities and the high-value leadership, are buried deep. We're talking about subterranean labyrinths carved into solid granite, hundreds of feet below the surface. Standard bombs won't work here. You need the heavy hitters. This is the domain of the GBU-57 Massive Ordnance Penetrator, or the MOP. This 30,000-pound beast isn't just a bomb, it's a kinetic scalpel. It's designed to fall from 30,000 feet, using its sheer weight and hardened steel casing to slice through layers of reinforced concrete and solid rock before the delayed fuse detonates inside. The mountain, the resulting internal explosion, collapses the tunnels, turning the island's most secure bunkers into underground tombs. It's a surgical procedure meant to set their strategic programs back by decades without ever dropping a single paratrooper. By week 4, the landscape has changed. The massive bombing campaigns stop and the hunting game begins. This is where we achieve total battle space dominance. We establish a permanent, 24/7 no-fly zone, But it's more than just a patrol. It's an aggressive, highly coordinated hunt. We keep a steady rotation of 6th-generation stealth fighters and MQ-9 Reaper drones continuously aloft, kept in the air by a non-stop cycle of flying tankers. The island becomes a cage. Our eyes are everywhere. Space Force satellites and high-altitude reconnaissance platforms feed real-time data directly to the fighters circling above. We aren't looking for armies anymore. We're looking for movement. We are specifically hunting for mobile ballistic missile launchers typically tucked away in hidden coastal caves or camouflage forest facilities. This is a game of extreme patience and lethal precision. The absolute second a target exposes itself, the moment a hangar door opens or a launcher rolls out to attempt a retaliatory strike, those Reapers are already waiting. A Hellfire missile is away before the enemy can even calibrate their sensors. The primary strategy here is to avoid a ground occupation entirely. Why waste lives in a trench when you can control every square inch of the battle space from 10,000 feet? We strike from the air the instant a target peeks out of the shadows. It is a relentless, exhausting pressure that breaks the enemy's will to even attempt a launch. You aren't just fighting a military, you're fighting an all-seeing overhead ghost that never sleeps and never misses. The Coalition has achieved full air and digital superiority. The island is isolated, its power is gone, its bunkers are caved in, and its only remaining weapons are trapped in a deadly game of hide-and-seek they are destined to lose. The victory feels absolute. The logic of the 30-day plan seems flawless. But in the theater of war, perfection is an illusion. Just when the Coalition feels most secure, when the fortress island seems utterly broken, the enemy reveals one last desperate card they've been holding beneath the waves. Everything looks perfect on the digital maps. The Coalition is already drafting the victory reports, confident that the island's teeth have been pulled. But in the theater of high-stakes warfare, overconfidence is the most lethal vulnerability. The fortress island isn't dying quietly. Far from it. Deep within the jagged coral reefs and hidden underwater grottos, the defenders have been holding back their most terrifying assets, the sleeping dragons of their asymmetric defense strategy. While the Coalition was busy hunting mobile launchers on land, they ignored the silence beneath the waves. Suddenly, acoustic sensors on the Coalition's outer screen pick up a frantic, high-frequency signature. It's not a single contact, it's a coordinated swarm of high-speed unmanned surface vehicles. These USVs are low-profile, semi-submersible autonomous boats packed with specialized high explosives specifically designed to strike the vulnerable propulsion systems and hulls below the waterline. And then comes the apex threat. From camouflaged silos hidden beneath the surf, the island launches its carrier killers, the dreaded hypersonic anti-ship missiles. These aren't standard cruise missiles that follow a predictable path. They travel at Mach 5, screaming through the atmosphere and performing erratic high-G terminal maneuvers that confuse and overwhelm even the most advanced Aegis combat systems. The island isn't trying to win a dogfight. They are trying to decapitate the Coalition's ability to project power in a single violent stroke. The target is the centerpiece of the entire campaign, the nuclear-powered aircraft carrier. This isn't just a ship, it's the floating city that sustains the air cover, the sensor data, and the refueling loops for every jet in the sky. If that flight deck is disabled, or worse, if that carrier is sent to the bottom of the ocean, the entire 30-day plan evaporates. The hunting game becomes a rescue mission. The air superiority the Coalition worked so hard to build vanishes in a heartbeat. Thousands of sailors, and the most expensive military asset in history, are suddenly one impact away from a catastrophic failure. The predator has become the prey. The fortress has found the giant's Achilles heel, turning a guaranteed victory into a desperate scramble for survival. Is it game over? Does the Coalition have to retreat and watch the island rebuild? Or is there one last ace up their sleeve that doesn't need a carrier strike group to deliver the final knockout blow? The answer to the carrier crisis doesn't lie on the surface of the water. It's parked 50,000 feet above it. Meet the B-21 Rainer, the ghost of the stratosphere. While the island's carrier killers are scanning the horizon for a massive floating target to hit, the B-21 is already deep inside their restricted airspace, invisible and untouchable. This is the Coalition's ultimate ace up the sleeve. It doesn't need a carrier strike group. It doesn't need a clear shipping lane or a nearby refueling hub. It can take off from a base halfway across the globe, penetrate the most advanced air defense networks ever designed, and deliver a knockout blow to those sleeping dragons before the enemy even knows it's in the zip code. This isn't just a plane, it's a strategic reset. It is a flying data hub, a stealthy door kicker that renders the island's entire maritime ambush strategy obsolete. If the carrier is the heart, the B-21 is the silent shadow that protects it by eliminating the threat before it can even blink. But we have to ask the deeper question. How did a fortress this powerful, this expensive, and this fortified fall in only 30 days? It wasn't just the B-21s or the Tomahawk missiles. It was something much more invisible and much more terrifying. It was the AI battle rhythm in modern warfare. A fortress or a strike group is like a floating city. Without a system, it's just a collection of people and machines spiraling into chaos. In the old days, war was a series of disconnected, messy battles. Today, it's a synchronized, high-frequency heartbeat. The Coalition's true advantage wasn't just having more guns, it was maintaining a superior pulse. This is what we call an assembly line of violence. Think of it this way. Every single second, billions of data points are being harvested. We're talking about infrared signatures from Space Force satellites, acoustic pings from undersea sensors, and real-time visual feeds from high-altitude reapers. All of this data is fed into a central AI command node that functions as the brain of the entire operation. This isn't a futuristic concept, it's the daily heartbeat of Central Command. The AI synchronizes the Admiral's high-level strategic decisions with the sweat on a sailor's brow. It creates an operational pulse that is relentless and sustainable. Every 60 to 90 minutes, a new strike cycle is launched. Every intel brief is updated the millisecond a new shadow moves on the ground. Every target board is refreshed before the dust from the last explosion has even begun to settle. If you lose the rhythm, you lose the fight. And the island's defenders lost it on day one. Why? Because humans are biological. We get tired, we get stressed, we second-guess our own shadows when the pressure is on. The commanders inside those island bunkers were trying to make life-or-death decisions based on reports that were already 20 or 30 minutes old. Meanwhile, the coalition's AI was reacting in milliseconds, shifting resources and retasking bombers before the defenders could even finish their first cup of coffee. This is the true aha moment of 21st century conflict. War has shifted from a test of who has the biggest bomb to who has the fastest decision-making rhythm. The island didn't just run out of missiles or fuel, they ran out of mental bandwidth. They were fighting a machine that never sleeps, never blinks, and never suffers from fog of war fatigue. It's a brutal, cold logic. Machine rhythm versus human exhaustion. You can have the thickest concrete walls in the world and the fastest hypersonic missiles under the sea. But if your decision-making loop is slower than your enemy's strike loop, you are already dead. The coalition didn't just break the island's fortifications, they broke their sense of time. They outpaced the defenders until the very act of resistance became a physical and psychological impossibility. This is the new doctrine of war. It is a deafening, non-stop metronome of destruction that turns 24 hours of utter chaos into a sustainable routine of victory. And once that rhythm is established, the total collapse of the fortress isn't just likely, it's a mathematical certainty. The 30-day plan isn't just about the physical destruction of a fortress. It's a demonstration of a new era of doctrine, a proof of concept that in the modern world, the side with the superior digital and operational rhythm wins before the first shot is even fired. This simulation was built from the ground up using real-world geopolitical data and advanced military doctrine to explore how asymmetric strategies can dismantle even the most expensive defense networks. But war is never a clean equation. There are always variables, human factors, and unexpected twists that no AI can fully predict. So, we want to hear from you. Is this 30-day countdown a realistic look at the future of conflict, or is the Fortress Island still an unbreakable reality in your eyes? Leave your thoughts and theories in the comments below. We read every one of them. All our videos are original content, simulated and animated by humans from scratch to bring you the most accurate technical analysis possible. Thanks for watching.